Hi everybody, Matt Birney or Mike Beer taking a look back at last Saturday's Ohio Derby from Thistledown here on Weekend Wrap. Coming into it, we had two big names that were going to take the majority of the money. You had IRAP and you had Gervin coming into this race. You also had a couple other runners exiting the Kentucky Derby. They're going to break from the gate here, going a mile and an eighth, Mike, and not the easiest of goes early on for IRAP, but you know what? Things eventually work out for him.
I guess if you want to say that he got in a little bit tight here in a couple of spots, fine. Overall, Leparoux gives this horse a really nice trip. He's just able to sort of take him back off the pace here, but he never gets too far away from it. And he is clear when it counts in this race. That's Gervin, the actual favorite, 4-5, breaking from the gate here on the outside. He just keeps right up on the pace in here. I guess if you wanted to say he did a little more work in this race and maybe he's an unlucky loser, I guess I couldn't argue.
You see the opening fractions, 23. You've got Fast and Accurate out there for Mike Maker, who arguably is a turf or synthetic horse trying the dirt here. You've got Gervin. If you back Gervin at 4-5, this is exactly how you would have drawn this thing up. You're ahead of your main competitor in IRAP, and you're just sitting the perfect trip here on the outside.
Yeah, you're just sort of tracking a horse who's probably just overmatched on the lead in this race, so you can't argue with where he is now. That's IRAP, just sort of sitting behind him. Looks like Leparoux just wants to follow Gervin, and I think it works out pretty well for him. This is, I guess, where it could get a little bit tricky for Gervin, because you have a pair of the Luch horses, and they both tag team him a little bit here. One on his inside, the other on his outside, and they make him race here from the far turn. Man, I think this is probably what gets him beat.
The one that took the majority of the money as far as the entry is concerned, that would have been Game Over, but you had Vibe that was on the inside, and right now, Game Over, he's been wider than wide. I don't think this is going to be a race that looks great on paper, but Game Over, all things considered, he took his shot at Gervin, and Gervin's just more seasoned and probably a little bit better.
And I thought he ran a really nice race here, Game Over, because he did take a big run at this horse. This is only his third career start, first two-turn race. He's going to get tired right now. He's on his wrong lead. He'll give it up at the end of this race. And you saw IRAP. Leparoux just did everything perfectly because he just followed Gervin the entire way. And as he was taking on the pressure, he was able to keep up and not get left behind. And he just comes with that finish at the end. I mean, I guess he got up. When I was watching the live, I didn't think he got up, but IRAP gets up. A really nice photo for him. And again, I'll just, I'll say maybe Gervin ran a little bit better, but even if he did, he didn't run a lot better.
Not by much, and you see the numbers right now. IRAP is over $1 million. He only has 2 wins to his name. They are both in graded stakes races. He also won the Bluegrass at Keeneland earlier this year. You saw he was late to change leads. He did it just shy of the wire. This is kind of a thing for IRAP. He's never been sort of the most professional, if you will, but he's got big pedigree. He's biked his now. He's a half to Spitestown. And now you've got to think bigger and better. Doug O'Neill immediately after the race had said, maybe we'll bring him home. Maybe we'll look at a race like the Indiana Derby. I have to be honest, I think that's where he belongs.
Yeah, I think races like that. Indiana Derby, they run one at Mountaineer, I think, over the summer. West Virginia Derby. I think those races are probably perfect for him and probably perfect for Gervin, too. They're both pretty nice horses, but it does feel like, I don't know that they necessarily fit at the top of this 3-year-old class.
They did fit at the top of this race, however. They are 4 and change clear of the third-place runner, Untrapped. We talked about it a little bit before the race on Friday when we were going over things and going into out of the gate. I personally think Untrapped needs a turn back in a major way, and I still don't think that we've actually seen him be able to do what he's capable of doing because he's probably been going too far.
Yeah, I agree with that. And listen, he never looked like he was going to win this race. He was probably, as you mentioned at the top of the show here, he had 3 horses coming out of the Derby, and it felt like, there was a pretty good chance one of them was probably going to win, but I felt like Untrapped was the least likely of the 3. I mean, as you were sort of alluding to, he doesn't want to go this far. He needs a turn back in distance. He's actually a very nice horse. I just wish they would stop pressing on with these 9 furlong races with him.
Sorry Eric is an interesting horse because I don't know that he's raced a lot, but it still seems like Kent DeSormo and Keith DeSormo are trying to figure out where he actually fits. Is he a turf horse? Is he a dirt horse? We know he can run competitively on both surfaces, but I tend to think he might actually be more of a turf horse.
Yeah, he might be. Distance is also no problem for him, I guess. He just, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really see anything wrong with his trip in this race. Kent did everything he could do. He sat at the back of the pack. He did save ground, and he, rallied up the inside. I don't know. He's just no match for he's not this kind of a horse.
IRAP gets the job done. Julian Leparoux pushes all the right buttons when the time needs. Doug O'Neill, they get the job done. 98 buyer speed figure for IRAP. Maybe we see him next in a race like the Indiana Derby.